intro going. There it is. Here we go. Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast, Retro Life for You. My name is Chris Adams, the host of the show, and sitting in with me again this week, as we predicted just no more than a couple of weeks ago, Cody Tucker. Cody, welcome back to the show again.
Hey, man. Appreciate you having me.
Hey, we said we were going to just come back and have a fun sit-down night one night and just talk about things, man, that's just 80s and 90s related, because we were doing Beverly Hills Cop. And it's so easy to get off topic. I do it every episode. I think people expect it from me to get off topic.
Yeah.
But that being said, we are going to be off topic all night long tonight, because we're going to jump from here to there and back to here again and then to a different area. And then, hey, you don't know what we're going to be talking about. We might be saying something about different strokes at one point and thanking you for being our friend, like the Golden Girls were. I mean, we could be talking Michael Jackson and be a Thriller, or telling the other one to beat it and go on, and then we're headbanging to Metallica. You don't know where this is going to go today. So,
amen.
Just prepare. We're telling you now, just prepare. So, speaking of bouncing around everywhere, I'm going to go straight to the 80s, because 80s is where a lot of the fun stuff was, it seems like. And I do remember you said when you were here before that you just wished that was a time frame you had grown up in, because what all they had and the things that you've gotten into. I think you said this before, but what really got you into more of a throwback stuff like with the 80s and 90s and such? I mean, it's not your time for for sure. So.
Right. So yeah, I guess to preface, I mean, I was born in 93. But I don't know, man. I always had like such a huge attraction to just pop culture in general, like not necessarily even a certain time frame, but I guess having parents that grew up in the 80s and just being kind of like force fed more 80s music and some movies too, but they weren't really into like TV shows as much. Like that was kind of like something I found on my own. But yeah, just doing that and then watching those. I don't know if you remember those like I Love the 80s and I Love the 90s on VH1. I used to just watch them every single time they came on, and I got like almost like a rush every time that an older person was talking about something, and I could like, chime in on it, because they always were like, "Oh, how do you know that?" And I'd always feel like,
right.
Well, look at me, I'm smart. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was doing
all right.
Exactly. I was doing that instead of learning, math and science. It's like, look, I don't know algebra, but I can tell you the entire cast of different strokes.
So I say, what's 2 + 2? Silver spoon, sucker. That's what it is.
So I don't know. They have not covered that on Family Ties.
That's right. When they get there, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Keaton knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, I did learn about Reaganomics through that, though. So I guess old Alex P taught me a few things.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, bringing up Reaganomics, Ronald Reagan, have you heard him do any speeches from his time frame?
Oh, yeah.
The man would tell jokes.
Yeah,
he's telling funny jokes when he's talking about them.
No, Reagan was, look, I am not politically minded. Not necessarily. I usually take whatever stance is the opposite of the person I'm talking to, just because I like to infuriate people.
You got to have the good guy and the bad guy.
Exactly. So if I'm talking to somebody who's like super liberal, I immediately go hard right. And if I'm talking to somebody who's like very like right wing, I go full on patchouli, woke. Everybody's my friend left, and I just ride the rails. Just seeing how mad I can make them. So, yeah.
that is kind of funny, though. I mean, because people do get so riled up over a lot of things. I have found that you cannot have a serious conversation of politics with anybody. So the best thing to do, like you say, is just antagonize them.
Yeah, or I like to bring up conspiracy theories as much as possible. Like in basically in any aspect of my life, I try to bring up conspiracy theories without prefacing them at all as being conspiracy theories.
Right. Right. A lot of people are still touchy to this day about 9/11, but if you bring up 9/11 and say, the government was involved, don't you?
Yeah.
They knew it was happening while it was happening. That's why he was whispering in his ear and he didn't crack his
exactly.
or nothing. He just kept reading the book to the little kids like,
whenever like somebody I know brings up 9/11, I turn into Michael Moore. Like, yeah, it was bad.
It was bad.
Like, George Bush was a terrorist.
Yeah. And then when they're like, you don't know that is true. Like, have you watched the video Spare Change on Google? Have you seen this? Have you watched all the proof they've thrown out there? And just to see the gears turning in their eyes and their vein on their eyes start popping up here and everything, it just makes it worth it in the end most of the time. Is it true? Hey, is it true? I don't know. I mean,
exactly.
Is it fun to throw it out there? Yeah.
No, exactly. I just start repeating lines that I've remembered from like Fahrenheit 9/11. I'm like, yeah, well, George Bush worked for Albusto, which had ties with the Saudis, and I go into these like massive things. Well, George H.W. Bush, he had problems with the Taliban. Like, I just go into these massive conspiracies, really, just because it stops the conversation dead in its tracks, which is my goal, really.
And then mess up the people's names while you're doing it too. I mean, you can get the president's name right, but say he was messing around with that Obama Sin Godin. You know who I'm talking about? He was hiding off in a trailer park in the desert up there. Yeah, we found him. Jesus. If they don't pick up on how you're just messing with them, then I can't help it. They deserve what you're doing at that point.
Dude, I'll tell you, one of my like idols, and this is not even a joke. One of my idols is Jesse Ventura for that very reason. Because
Jesse Ventura's very outspoken.
Hearing him talk about 9/11 is the greatest thing ever. Like there were 3 towers. Like, what happened to Tower 7? Like, just going into these like crazy conspiracies. Like, jet fuel does not melt steel beams. Like, it is.
They got down to the specifics of those at one point. If you ever gone back here recently and watched some of the stuff, they'll tell you what specific type of steel it was and what specific type of jet fuel they used and how they know for a fact that because of that, this is the reason why it won't burn it. And then if you go back at 24 minutes and 16 seconds, 24.16.8 on the video, if you will, and you look at it, you'll see in slow motion a series of explosions going poof, 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 all the way around in a circle. And then they say that then you see that it suddenly just goes straight down. But it kind of does go straight down.
It pancakes.
Yeah, it doesn't turn over sideways or anything. No. But Jesse Ventura was very outspoken about it. A lot of people were and everything at that time. And it was a topic that went discussed until people were blue in the face and ready to kill each other, I think, at the same time.
Yeah, see, I was 7.
Now, some people, I was actually working at a Walmart. They say there's certain time frames, where you were.
Yes.
Certain things to do. Like, so 9/11, I was working at a Walmart on Charlotte Pike in Nashville, Tennessee, walking past the electronics department, coming back from the restroom, mind you. If you want to get real detailed, I'm not going to tell you anything else about that visit. But I walked by the electronics that was on all the TVs. And people were gathered around looking at it. We stopped and looked to see what was going on. And it was all about this. It's like saying my favorite sports football team, the Titans. I'm from Tennessee here. So the Tennessee Titans having their Music City Miracle against the Buffalo Bills. I was working at what's called an H.G. Hills store. Mm-hmm. And I was in the back room. And it was a grocery store. I did walk past the meat department back doors. And all of a sudden I heard people just yelling like crazy because we thought the game was over. And that thing happened. And, I was like, why couldn't I have been home to watch this? Certain things, where you were when it happened.
Yes. Yeah, I was in 2nd grade, and I just remember them bringing us into, because it was like pretty early in the morning, and I just remember them bringing us all into the gym, and then them, like our teachers coming in and just crying, and we're like, what the hell is going on right now? And them just basically telling us that, like, which is not in a great way to tell a group of like couple of 100 8-year-olds, but basically like we're under attack, hold on to your hats, like, and them just yelling. And then we just went home, and then for the next couple of months them telling us how, like, there's actually a good chance there could be a terrorist attack around here because like the city I live in has like a big like chemical plant. They were like, we actually are at a very high risk, according to the Department of Homeland Security. And me being 8 years old, being like, oh no, I'm going to die. Like, I'm actually, so, I mean, I don't know if I was, I guess I can say this kind of stuff, but I'm working on a book right now about the aftermath of it. Basically just like the generation, like my age group, how like the fear post 9/11 completely just heightened our anxiety and why we are like the most anxious generation. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that like our first vivid memory is arguably the most like devastating moment in like US history. And that's like our first, that's like our like, breeding ground for like the way we react to different like.
See, like in my case, it was a space shuttle. They showed us that.
Yeah. Right. So like everybody has, which that's the thing that I was kind of like that I'm going to probably go into is like everybody has one. So like there was like the Pearl Harbor generation, people growing up during Vietnam, we were watching that on TV, but there was like
Kennedy assassination
is a huge one. Yeah. Oklahoma City, if you're going just a little bit before 9/11, but like 9/11 was just such a huge thing. And like, I have massive anxiety, massive panic attacks. And I've like kind of not traced it back to 9/11. Like I wasn't going through some political crisis as an 8-year-old, but like, just having this like fear hit me. And that's what made me just like super attracted to horror movies and everything like kind of morbid. And I think there's a direct connection between them. Who knows? I might just be spinning my wheels, which wouldn't be the first time.
It's all right though. It works. I don't think we have Freddy Krueger out there in the background with a nuclear missile aimed at us or anything, but 1, 2, Obama bin Laden's coming for you, or I said it wrong again, didn't I? Osama.
You did, yeah. You said Obama bin Laden, which
I was doing the thing from earlier where I said you say the wrong name on purpose.
Yeah.
But Osama bin Laden, he was a big threat to people. I think some kids at a certain age probably hear that name and have some fear with it because they, with him being the name tied to everything like that.
Oh yeah.
But so that's definitely one big memory that stands out with a lot of people growing up, 80s and 90s. Of course, 9/11 was not 80s and 90s.
No, but
going off of the whole political bit and everything. Where were we at? We were talking Ronald Reagan. We got off on that, didn't we? That's hilarious.
Yeah, we got way
right to there. I told everybody we're going off topic, though, did I not?
Yeah. I said, but we skipped the entire decades. Like we didn't even stay in the 80s or 90s. Jesus.
It's okay though. Well, if you want to talk about the things like I brought up, 80s and 90s, you got the space shuttle thing when they brought to us in school and everything. And as far as the 90s go, you've got the Gulf War.
Yeah. Waco was really big around here.
Waco?
So like, yeah, because where I'm from, I'm like 3.5 hours away from Waco, and all of my family are from Waco. And did
you drink the Kool-Aid?
No, that's Jonestown. The Kool-Aid, isn't it? Isn't that Jim Jones?
Don't they all have Kool-Aid at some point?
No, I think David Koresh.
It was Jim Jones, though. You're right, though.
I think David Koresh was just kind of, doing some nefarious things with children. But
right with Jim Jones. That's
Jim Jones in Guyana. That was in like 78, I think, in like French Guyana in South America.
Yeah.
But no, like the Waco stuff was a huge thing that I grew up like hearing about, because like a lot of my family who like live in Waco still live in Waco. They knew like the Branch Davidians like really well, like around that city. Waco's not like a huge place. It's just a college town because of Baylor University. But they all kind of knew the Branch Davidians, somewhat knew David Koresh. So they were just like really nice people and they kind of minded their own business. But, then one day they all get, blown up. So yeah, interesting stuff. I've been out there before and it is very weird because it's there. Like that church is still like they rebuilt it.
Really?
So there's like a whole nother group of Branch Davidians who are like Seventh-day Adventists. Like, yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
There's always something. Always something. So we were joking earlier about some of the things from the 80s, talking about the family ties and those silver spoons I mentioned, different strokes. What was back to the 80s? Do you have a favorite sitcom on TV that you would always fall back on?
From the 80s and 90s, like that era?
Well, let's just go with the 80s for now.
Okay, 80s. Jesus, man. Actually,
Actually, you can throw one out from both decades.
Well,
it's cool.
80s, it's probably the Cosby Show. Yeah, which
Would you like a drink?
A little bit hard to catch the reruns these days, but yeah,
it was a great show though.
No, the Cosby Show is an amazing show. I
laughed so hard at no, there was 3 Cosby shows though now, right? Now we're talking about the original Cosby Show on NBC, not just Cosby on CBS.
No. I'm talking about
because Cosby. You had him and Felicia Rashad do Cosby on CBS. That was different than the Cosby Show. Right.
No, I'm talking about like the Cosby Show.
Okay, I loved some of the ways as parents that they would teach the children things.
Yeah,
one of the things that stood out to me the most over the years that I laughed so hard at and loved was when Theo decided he knew how to handle his money. He was adult, and so he comes home and they've changed everything around, and like his youngest daughter is like the lady over the bank. I'm sorry, Cliff's youngest daughter, Theo's sister.
Right.
Over the bank, and everybody's changed. The mom is now Miss Millie or something like that in the kitchen. When you're ready to eat, you let Millie know and she'll cook you something up. And Cliff is the one who's doing the managing of the building, right?
Yeah.
So he's gonna rent him the room. So Theo's like, "Oh, I see what's going on. Okay, I'll play along." So they go down. He's talking about all the money he's gonna save and everything. How he's gonna eat. I'll eat cereal and bologna. And he takes money back out of his hand. And he tells him, "You still hadn't paid the electric bill." He takes it back out of his head. I always thought that was a great little lesson set up he had, the ways that they would do things like that. There's more than just that.
Well, there was like the one episode, actually, it might be the pilot, I think, is the one where Theo has this like huge heart-to-heart discussion with Cliff. And he's saying like, I don't know why like my grades have to be so good, blah, blah, blah. He's going into that, but he's like, I don't know why it would matter if I was a doctor or a lawyer. Like, why wouldn't you love me just as much if I was a trash man or something like that? Like, why can't you just love me for who I am? And then it gets like real sentimental. And then Cliff goes, "That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard."
He's like, Theo's real serious. He goes, "Can't you just love me for who I am?"
Yeah, he's like,
and the crowd, the people watching like, "Oh." He's like, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life."
I'm pretty sure that's the pilot. I think that's the pilot episode. I mean,
it could be.
I think
that's a good ways back. I can't remember that for sure, but I do remember that episode.
Yeah, Cosby Show for sure. Number one. A close second is Cheers.
Mm-hmm.
Cheers. I still watch Cheers a lot. Like every once in a while, I'll just kind of restart it from the beginning. I mean,
off a lot
Cheers
of
is amazing. Did you know that George Wendt and John Ratzenberger were 35 when Cheers started?
I mean, they
look like they're almost 60. It is crazy to me.
George Wendt, I can believe it for sure. John Ratzenberger, I think, well, some people, myself included, I mean, as you see me, I was already losing my hair in my 30s. Some people, I have a friend whose hair, when he was in his 20s, was already salt and pepper gray, and more gray than dark. So I think John Ratzenberger is one of them people who just, he started getting gray hair earlier than in his years than would be normal, and it made him appear to be a little bit older.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's just 30.
The one of Rhea Perlman looked a lot older.
Yeah, well, she was, I think she was not even 40 when it started. I think she was in like her late 30s. I mean, it is, I don't know. It just, when I heard that like George Wendt and John Ratzenberger were 35, I was like, there is no way. But yeah, I guess maybe they.
I want to say all of them were close in age, fairly close, except for of course Coach.
Yeah,
and then Woody. I think Woody came in his 20s.
Yeah.
I think his character is supposed to be in early 2021. I think.
Yeah.
And Sam was probably been in his 30s or 40s. Mid 30s is who his character was supposed to be.
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Ted Danson was like the same age as his character was supposed to be, and it was like mid 30s. So
yeah, so it was a relief pitcher or a starting pitcher. I forget which.
Relief pitcher, I think.
Relief pitcher for the Red Sox, Sam Mayday Malone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when his career was over, he bought the bar.
Yeah.
I don't remember how old Shelley Long's character was supposed to be, though.
Mid-20s.
I know she was a bride or something like that when she first showed up.
Yeah, I think
they brought in Kirstie Alley later, who was young as well, I think.
Well, yeah, well, that's kind of whenever I usually will just stop rewatching it when it gets replaced with Kirstie Alley. I just can't handle Kirstie Alley.
Kirstie Alley was actually pretty good in Cheers.
Yeah,
her and Ted Danson, they had a good chemistry as Sam and Rebecca. That was a little bit different than Diane, but still kind of the same as Diane, and in the sense that he was obviously flirting with her, but he was more serious with Diane toward the end. I think when they split that up and Shelley Long left. The comedy was still there though, and then you bring in Kelsey Grammer as Fraser Crane sitting at the bar every night with him. The intellectual, you got the intellectual, then you got Woody trying to just bless him. Stupidest as a box of rocks, I guess.
Yeah.
It was just a great show. If I was falling back on an 80s comedy sitcom, and I think it started in the 70s, late 70s, and went into the 80s. If I'm thinking an absolute favorite, I've got two, and I can't make up my mind. One is Three's Company.
Okay.
Three's Company, you got John Ritter, Joyce DeWitt, Suzanne Summers.
Don Knotts.
Don Knotts didn't start. It was Norman Bell. That was the first one. He was Mr. Roper.
Okay. But Don Knotts is on it later, isn't he?
Yes, Don Knotts.
Okay.
Mr. Roper. Whenever they tried to spin off of the Ropers, they thought it would work, and it just did not have the same effect without the kids on there. Without Jack Tripper and then Chrissy and Janet and everything. Didn't have the same feel. So whenever they left, they brought in Don Knotts, who was brother-in-law to Bart, who owned the building.
Okay.
And he played Mr. Furley.
That's right. That's right.
Had Barney Fife written all over it still.
Yeah.
But, it was just Barney Fife without the badge. And
yeah.
That was one, and Night Court was the other.
Oh, that's the one with what's his name? The redhead kind of guy that died not that long ago. He was in It.
Yes.
God, what is his name?
Harry Anderson.
Harry Anderson, yeah. And
John Larroquette, Marky Post.
Yeah, John Larroquette. That's who I was thinking of too. Yeah.
I think his actual name was Mac as well as his stage name or show name, Mac Davis. I think Marshall Warfield was on there. Richard Mall. A lot of names over the years have been on it. I mean, some of them didn't go on to be as popular as others, but
was Lonnie Anderson on that? Or was Lonnie Anderson on
she was WKRP
Cincinnati? Yeah. Okay.
Right. Yeah. But there are moments today where my best friend today and I will quote Night Court. And it's for no reason whatsoever. It's just, it doesn't even go with what's happening or anything. But there's this point where John Larroquette's talking to a girl who's in there. Their little traveling circus has been brought in because if they didn't have a license for it or something, people didn't want them there. And she's a trapeze. Yeah. And he's telling her how he is a trapeze at his place, and he'd like to show it to her. And, no matter what you do, no matter how much you sweat, hold on to the handlebars.
Oh, my God.
It's a running gag with us still today with that. 90s, though, if you go to the 90s, you get a sitcom. What do you fall back on there?
It's very late 90s, but my favorite sitcom of all time is That 70s Show.
Yeah.
So it started in 98, so it's like barely in that 90s range. But other than that, probably Fresh Prince. Fresh Prince was, man, that's hard because I did watch Home Improvement and Roseanne a lot too. I'll tell you this. So like my two least favorite are Seinfeld and Friends. Hate both of them so much. So I can watch
a few weeks ago. I love Friends, but Seinfeld I was not big on. I didn't understand the humor of Seinfeld very well.
Yeah, because Jerry Seinfeld's not funny.
He's really not.
I know it's sacrilege, whatever, but he isn't funny. Like
a sacrilege for who? I mean, because he really,
comedians.
I mean, Seinfeld doesn't have a good stand-up act. He didn't
But
have
see,
a good.
that's now you tell most comics that, like most comics I know, if you tell them that, you know, like whenever I tell them that I don't think Seinfeld is funny, they like basically shun me. I'm like,
Well, they
he's
come up,
not.
just look at you and they go, "What is up with that?"
Yeah, like, well, you know, there's no like, oh my god, I can't stand them. Like, I just don't. I don't like them. But favorites, yeah, for sure. That 70s Show and Fresh Prince. That's yeah.
Well, you already know I love Friends, and there's a lot of great ones in the '90s. So I can't really pick a solid one except for Friends for me. So many things that were just funny, but not great to me. Will and Grace was funny, but not great.
News Radio. I was a huge fan of News Radio.
I never did get into that. Never did.
I loved it. It's the best cast. It's the best cast in a sitcom of all time. I think
the 80s was must-see TV on NBC, right? And then in the 90s, it was all about what did they call it for Fridays?
Oh my god. It was like Boy Meets World, Friends, Home Improvement.
No. They were all on the same channel. It was Full House, it was Family Matters. Boy Meets World might have been in there.
No, it was something. Not TGIF, was it?
TGI, yeah. That's what it was.
That's it. Yeah. That's what I was thinking of.
I mean, Full House was fun sometimes. Family Matters was fun to me. But all these were fun, but not great. If I had to pick one other than Friends, I'd probably fall back on Roseanne because I love the humor and the way that the Roseanne and Dan character both got along together and how the kids were. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've gone from the extent. I mean, this is opposite polar ends of how Cosby Show was and how they give life lessons to the kids. And then you go on this side over here to Roseanne, where Roseanne and Dan are giving their kids, they're trying to raise them and teach them things. But there is nothing being taught whatsoever.
No.
It's just like do what you want or whatever, it seems like.
It's definitely the poor white trash version of the Cosby Show. Because it was very similar to how I grew up, was Roseanne. Like, almost too similar. It's like, Jesus. If they had a way nicer house. See, the thing I hate about Roseanne is they were like, oh, we're so poor. Their house was so much nicer than mine.
Yes. Thank
you.
Dude,
y'all have like a huge, like 2-story house. Like, what are you talking about?
Where they live at? Do you remember what the show was based out of? I can't.
Oh, God. It wasn't Chicago, was it? Or was it more Midwest?
I started to ask you, was it Chicago as well? Or was it Ohio?
See, I'm thinking it was something more Midwest, like Rust Belt. Like, maybe not Pittsburgh. They would have been all talking like Yenzers.
I don't think they were in a big city of any kind.
No, but I think it was like outside because they would talk about going to like some football games. I thought maybe it was no. Hold on, that is going to bother me so much.
Well, while you were looking it up,
okay.
The one thing about Roseanne that I did love the most were their Halloween episodes. Those were worth waiting.
Yes, yeah.
Every year we'd look forward to the Halloween show for Roseanne and what they would do new this year, what would be different. It was never scary. It was just so humorous.
Yeah. It's Lanford, Illinois.
Illinois.
So that's why I was thinking Chicago. I thought they were in Illinois.
I was going to tell you, Dan was a Bears fan.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. I remember them being like into the Bears. I knew there was like some football team, but I was getting the Packers and that 70s show can mix up, I think, because they were all huge Packers fans.
All right, so we're going to jump into the action genre here when it comes to television. Okay. So let's you pick first, 80s or 90s, whichever you want to do.
Miami Vice.
You're talking 80s for Miami Vice.
There's nothing even close. It is, to me, the greatest, I think, arguably the greatest TV show ever made. For sure, Miami Vice. Miami Vice is... Oh my God!
You got the flashy lifestyle. You got the Lamborghini. I mean, you got
the music.
I mean, the intro to the show was just straight fire. I mean, it was everybody loved that.
Oh yeah, and Don Johnson is one of the coolest human beings to ever live.
Okay, it is. I don't say in the 80s. How many different people did you see emulated so much? There was 2 people who got emulated in the 80s. I think more than anybody. One was Don Johnson. The other was Michael Jackson.
Hulk Hogan's up there
because of the beat it thing, you know. I mean, as far as how they dressed and how they acted and everything. Think about that. You even had Corey
Madonna
at one point thinking he's Michael Jackson. He still tries to look today like he is. But as far as people who were emulated the most between fans and how they would dress and how they would act and stuff, a lot of people would dress like Michael Jackson. The whole parachute pants thing when it became a big thing.
See, I think
the jacket, the glove, the Diet Pepsi.
Oh yeah,
because this thing going on, and then you had Miami Vice. You got the jacket, you know, the hairstyle and everything.
Scrunch sleeves, like the sleeves scrunched up.
Yeah,
the elbow.
Exactly.
No socks, pastels, like pastel color. But see, I think even more than Michael Jackson, Madonna. Like women dressed like Madonna, like crazy in the 80s with like the fishnet gloves.
I mean, we gotta give the girls something too, and give the ladies something there because the ladies aren't going to dress up like Michael Jackson or Don Johnson. But I mean, as far as the guys,
close.
Well, some of them might, but we're not going to touch that subject.
See, I would love
to get shut down.
I know.
We'll get shut down by all the letters and numbers they have.
Well, I mean, Michael Jackson was a woman dressing up like Michael Jackson, so. But yeah, I would love for that look to come back. That's like, to me, like whenever I think of, you know, what's like the most attractive look for like a, you know, on a woman, it's the Madonna 80s look, like big hair, black, like tons of like jewelry, like the boy toy belt, like all this. I was like, God.
So you're saying the multicolored hair Cyndi Lauper did nothing for you? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, that's up there. Cyndi Lauper is, I mean, Cyndi Lauper actually, okay. Number one, like who I think the most attractive woman from the 80s is Susanna Hoffs from the Bengals. Yes. Like looking to the side, like, oh my God. Yeah. Susanna Hoffs is still.
I already know where you're going. Walk like an Egyptian video.
Yes. Her eyes like looking to the side.
Yeah. I already know.
My God, Susanna Hoffs.
It's an iconic part of the video.
Yes.
And all the guys were waiting for that. We would sit there and listen to the whole song just to look at the video to see that thing she did.
Yeah, see, not Phoebe Cates, not Molly Ringwald, not them. Susanna Hoffs for sure, number one. I mean, Madonna is up there too, but Madonna is like a multi.
If you're talking about your 80s moments with them, Phoebe Cates has got probably one of the top moments.
Oh, yeah. That Fast Times are on high. I mean,
right. We just talked about this last week, me and I mean, it's coming up out of the water. Of course, you've got the TV version versus the movie version. TV version, she just gets out of the water, you know, slicks her hair back and everything, get the water off her head and walks toward Judge Reinhold, and they start making out. Yeah. And the actual movie version, she is getting out, she's walking toward him, she slicked her hair back, she's got her top pulled straight off like that and walking at him.
With the cars playing in the background, moving in stereo.
Yes, yeah. But I mean, you get others. I mean, so many different posters throughout the 80s the guys had on their walls. We had Heather Thomas, we had Heather Locklear, we had Catherine Bach, you know, Daisy Duke.
Oh, yeah.
If you were a heavy metal person, a hard rocker, you had Lita Ford on the wall, probably.
See, Lita Ford's not. I actually think Joan Jett's a lot hotter than Lita Ford.
Well, I was going there next. You had people with Joan Jett on there. You had Lita Ford. You had the Bangles up on the. Some people had Bangles up on the wall. It depends on the guy and who his friends were, you know, and how accepting they were. As you go into your friend's room, if he's got a picture of the Bangles or Debbie Gibson on his wall, they're like, dude.
Yeah, see Debbie Gibson.
Really?
Yeah.
But,
no, Tiffany. Tiffany's super hot. Still is now. Like Tiffany, actually hotter now.
No, I started to say Tiffany looks better now than she did back
way
in the
better.
80s, and she was very good looking in the 80s.
Yeah.
Debbie Gibson was way better looking in the 80s. Not that she hasn't aged well, but I mean, she's so and it's because of what she has going on and everything. You can't fault her for it.
Yeah.
But she's more. It's like you look at her and you're like, eat a piece of chicken.
Yeah, for sure.
She's not anorexic or anything.
But
I'm not saying we're nothing like this. I'm not going to get into it because it's her personal health issues. I'm not going to talk about them, but I mean, she does have something that's going on with her, and she beat it basically, and she's in pretty good shape considering. But she just looks like she can't either she can't gain or doesn't want to gain any kind of weight at all. Tiffany, on the other hand, is just, I guess for lack of a better word, she's thick.
Oh, she's thick as hell. Yeah.
I mean,
no, you know who, out of like all actresses. So yeah, Susanna Hoffs for musicians, but actresses, Jennifer Grey.
Jennifer Grey. Yeah.
Jennifer Grey is so freaking like, even now, I mean, I know she looks way different because of her nose job, but whatever. I mean, Jennifer Grey, like for the 80s for sure. Like Jennifer Grey, Susanna Hoffs are my like 1 and 2.
When Jennifer Grey came on Friends, a lot of people guest starred on Friends. When Jennifer Grey came on there, I didn't recognize her as being Jennifer Grey.
No,
no one did. Nose job you mentioned, I didn't know what to think. I was like, that doesn't look like Jennifer Grey from Dirty Dancing or Ferris Bueller or Red Dawn or doesn't look anything like her.
No.
But guys, we all had those posters, and we loved watching the Dukes of Hazzard for Daisy Duke. We loved watching the Fall Guy for Heather Thomas. And that, and then of course you've got the different vehicles of the 80s that made you watch the show. And the Fall Guy, he had that iconic truck that he would drive. Matter of fact, I'll tell you what, hang on a second. Speaking of the Fall Guy, we talk about the truck itself there. You get a little iconic hood on it and all that.
Yeah.
It's something I like to collect if I can find things with the little cars and everything for the shows.
Yeah. Man, I'm sorry. I completely went off topic from your initial question about the shows. I realized that.
We were talking about, I said we were going to go off topic still. We're just kicking back and having fun this week. That's all we're doing. True. But so you got Miami Vice. We hit that. What about the 90s?
I guess this counts. X-Files.
It does.
Yeah, X-Files for sure would be my number 1. Yeah, I mean, I can't think of another show in the night. ER would be up there. But that's more of a drama, I guess. Really,
ER is a drama, not really.
Yeah, then no, X-Files for sure. Then
see, the 90s kind of went away from a lot of the good action shows.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't even really think of like an A-team of the 90s.
Right? And you probably got Law and Order started sometime, and then
NYPD Blue.
NYPD Blue was there probably. I would say it had to be. That's definitely drama. Yeah. No, I guess actually 90s, I for sure am more into like the 90s dramas. I mean, I can't think of a single like just straight action show like Walker, Texas Ranger, I guess. I mean, see, that was in the 2000s too, though.
That came out in the 90s. Yeah. It was.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, it doesn't feel like. Has it really been that long?
Yeah, it started in like 96, I thought. I mean,
I'm so old.
No, I am almost positive that's when
I am so old.
It started in 93. Walker, Texas Ranger.
All right, let's see. I'm just gonna real quick here, action shows of 90s and what pops up, because I had one in particular. Yep, there it is. All right. Very late 90s. I guess it'll still count if it starts in the 90s at least. Angel. That the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah,
I did like that.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer is good.
That came out in 97.
I like Buffy the Vampire Slayer a lot.
There was a time frame where they had all these TV shows that were not on your major NBC, CBS, ABC. We're talking like the CW. Actually, it was called the WB then.
That's right. Yeah,
it's the CW now. And at one point, you had Fox Television. You still do, I think.
Yeah, still Fox.
But I mean, there was Angel, there was Buffy, there was Xena, there was
Xena. Is that the one with Kevin Sorbo?
Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah, that's
right. There was Stargate SG-1, the TV series.
Oh, Star Trek Next Generation.
Star Trek: The Next Generation. Thank you.
That's like a huge one from the 90s. Yeah.
And I did watch that when I'm looking at NYPD Blue. You mentioned earlier is here. Martial Law was a fun one for me. That was a spinoff.
Okay. What about Jag? Was Jag in the 90s?
I was about to tell you. I think Jag was in the 90s, and if that's the case, that's going to be mine. That I'm gonna pick.
What about Nash Bridges? When did that come out?
Nash Bridges in the 90s. I just passed it. All right, Jag came out in 1995.
Oh, okay.
So Jag is definitely going to be the one that I'm going to go with.
Okay. Yeah. I think. If we count X-Files, then I go X-Files.
The X-Files was from 93 to 2018. It says because you had this thing pop up. But technically, 93 through a certain year and stopped.
03, I think is when it stopped.
You had Highlander,
yeah,
with Adrian Paul, which was fairly good if you like that type of stuff.
Man, Man, I can't really think of
And the rest of those I just peered out. I was looking at what they consider to be the top 30, they said, as far as they're not in any particular ranking order, but just 30 of the best ones. Star Trek Deep Space Nine, they got on there. Third Watch is on there. Counter-Strike is on there. In the Heat of the Night. In the Heat of the Night, I have a hard time calling that an action.
Yeah, that's
more of a cop drama.
Well, I guess that still counts as action. I mean, the same way NYPD Blue counts as action.
I guess, but still, I would go with, for myself personally, I would take Jag for the 90s. Yeah. And in the 80s, I am very much hurting on that one if I had to make a choice, because I got Knight Rider, I got the A-Team.
Yeah, it's tough.
The Dukes of Hazzard went into the 80s from 79 to 85, I think. I was a big fan of that. There were so many things I loved to watch back then. If I had to pick one, though, I would go ahead and settle probably on the A-Team. Okay. Just for the act, because we're talking action, all right?
Yeah,
Hazard wasn't always straight action.
No.
Knight Rider was, and the kit car was awesome, but I would have to take the A-Team because of what they were. Stormtroopers who couldn't hit anything when they shot their guns, driving a van. Speaking of vans,
I was wondering if you had that. I was like,
speaking of vans, the A-Team van there.
Yeah, Jesus.
Oh, I can't help it. That's okay. I got the kit car up there too.
Good.
We have the kit car. I've got the opposite of kit car. KARR is up there. I've got the Bandit car up here.
The Trans Am.
Yep. A little bit bigger than a Hot Wheels, so a different scale. But the Scooby-Doo Mystery Inc. van.
Yeah, I see that one. Yeah.
You got to have that. I mean, we got a little DeLorean, Back to the Future. We got Christine up there. I got the Impala from Supernatural. The old school Batmobile from the TV show Batmobile. And then I got Optimus Prime up there.
What about Starsky and Hutch? You don't have the. Was it a Nova?
I don't know. It was a.
It was a Nova, wasn't it? I mean, it looks like a Chevelle, but it wasn't a Chevelle.
Definitely not a Chevelle. I don't think it was a Nova.
Man, I don't know.
I can find out real quick.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. I think it was something kind of like. I mean, I know it was like obviously a muscle car, but
it's a Torino, Gran Torino.
Torino, that's what it was. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So, but yeah, definitely the A-Team. I gotta have the A-Team. Not only did the A-Team have, a lot of great action throughout the time it was there. I mean, you've got the intro to it. I mean, who didn't? I mean, tell you what, we'll give everybody a little sneak peek of what we're talking about here.
Yeah,
you gotta have some A-Team on there.
Wells Fargo lets you.
Of course, we don't want the commercial though. We don't want the commercial. Come on, really?
You knew where you stood with.
In 1972, a crack commando unit was sent to prison by a military court.
I mean, you get the guy talking like they're bad people, they're awesome.
Today, still wanted by the government, they survive as soldiers of fortune. If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the A-Team.
I mean, yeah, it's got like one of those riffs you remember,
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's one of the most like legendary theme songs ever.
And if you've ever tried playing guitar before, I don't know if you've ever into guitar, you can actually play that part of the riff in the middle of it where it's dun 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 dun. It's just like playing "Sunshine of My Love."
Yeah.
Back from I think it was Eric Clapton when he was a Cream, something like that. It's just like playing that with a little addition at the end of it, basically.
Yeah.
And everybody, it had a little humor to it. You had the humorous friendship between Murdoch and BA.
Mm-hmm.
You heard a lot of people quoting throughout the 80s. I love it when a plan comes together.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just wanted to be Face because he could get what he wanted when he wanted, and he was real smooth when he did it.
Yeah. I think A-Team has got to be one of the most like iconic shows. That and like in Knight Rider. Knight Rider's up there for sure. Like especially as far as theme songs. Like that Knight Rider theme song is so iconic. I mean, Magnum PI is up there too.
Yes.
I don't know if you're a Magnum fan, but
Magnum PI. I've probably watched them all at one point. Magnum PI, Simon and Simon.
Mhm.
I think that was kind of a spinoff of Magnum PI.
Yeah.
Or they crossed over the first season, one of the two. But then you had like the ones we just mentioned. Plus, you had Hunter that was on with Fred Dryer and Stephanie Kramer. Oh, you never seen that one?
No, I never saw that one.
It was a cop show. He was a cop. Stephanie Kramer was his partner. Went on for a few seasons. It's kind of good. It's kind of cheesy in a sense, but it's kind of good too.
Yeah.
You may or may not like it. You can look it up. I'm sure it's online somewhere.
Okay. Yeah.
Then of course there was the one I sent you. Oh, I told you I was going to send you the link.
Yeah. I saw it.
So even if you didn't like the TV show, the intro was really cool.
Intro's cool. I like the intro a lot.
When it came in, the intro was cool. There's another one. No, the intro wasn't cool at all. Just the thought process was, and they could have made it better, but it was called Automan.
Okay.
Automan was a guy who basically was created out of a computer. He came out of a computer. A cursor jumped out of the computer and drew the man right in front of you.
Okay.
And he's supposed to be an actual guy at this point. And he's helping this reporter solve crimes and fight crime and stuff. And all Automan has to do is say, cursor, a car. The cursor will draw a car. It's like a Lamborghini.
Oh, God.
And it hugs the corners. It's like, instead of making a turn where the back end slides around, it just goes.
Oh, my
like
God.
that, making these. But you had like Airwolf. You had Blue Thunder.
Yeah, no, Airwolf. Yeah.
Blue Thunder was temporary, I believe. Airwolf went for several seasons. And of course, speaking of iconic theme songs, the 80s was really big on theme songs for the television series. They're to make them memorable, it seems. So there's also another one from the 90s. I think it was the 90s. Was Renegade in the 90s, late 90s?
Ooh, I have no idea. I don't know Renegade.
Lorenzo Lamas and Branscombe something.
And I have no idea. I've never heard of that before. Renegade. Okay. I know Lorenzo Lamas, of course.
Lorenzo Lamas was a former cop that got set up by somebody and said that they said he killed his wife and somebody else did. And he goes on the run to try and
fugitive.
It's not the fugitive, although he is a fugitive from the law. But he's only a fugitive because he was framed for it. Bobby Branscombe Mitchell, I think his name is, or Branscombe Holmes, something like that, is a bounty hunter, and he takes up the bounty on him and ends up finding him, and him and his sister that run the thing believe his story and take him on as a partner, basically helping him find the killer. It goes on for quite a while, and I don't know if it ever turns out good or not, but I can't remember.
It sounds eerily similar to The Fugitive.
It might have some similarities to it. The action's definitely better.
Yeah.
Because llamas can fight and stuff. We've talked about before, I would say, music. You mentioned you like some good 80s music.
Oh, yeah.
Do you, as far as 80s goes, when it comes to your preference in 80s music, would you say it's more like the pop sound of the 80s, the college scene sound they had, or maybe the hair metal music, or just the plain hard rock?
It would
music
be, man. I mean, in general, I like it all, but if it would be a toss up between like thrash metal, so not necessarily hair metal. I mean, I do like some of it, but I'm way more into like Slayer, Megadeth, Metallica, Anthrax, Motorhead.
Yeah, I was going to get you to clarify for sure, because some people, they just called them heavy metal, and they called like your Kiss and Poison and AC/DC, although AC/DC didn't have the wild hair.
Yeah,
the Skid Rows and
Cinderella and all that. Yeah,
they would call them the hair metal, and they would call like Metallica, Megadeth, and Anthrax on them heavy metal. And like thrash metal, you'd see stuff like, what were some of these names? They were really outrageous, crazy names.
Well, there was like all kinds, like Deicide and
people like that,
Possessed, which
if
that's
you
the guy
ever
in Dominican Primus.
If you ever watched Headbangers Ball on Saturday nights,
yeah.
Every Saturday night, there'd be a lot of the good music that you like, but then there'd be some of this stuff that is just like, what are they saying?
Yeah.
It's like the music, the guitar is going way too fast, and all you're hearing is nothing but double bass drum hitting. It seems like with cymbals.
That's a lot of what I like. I mean, I like a little bit more melodic versions of that. Like I don't like the like super heavy stuff, but I do like a lot of thrash. And then like, I mean, my favorites for sure, Iron Maiden and Judas Priest. Like those two, but like the heavier songs from Maiden and Priest.
Now, as far as stuff like that goes, quite a few Judas Priest songs I liked. Iron Maiden, I know there are songs by them that I like, and I can't think of the names of them. I think they had. I think there was one that was a title of an album. It may have been Seventh Son of a Seventh Son.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah.
There's
Number of the Beast, the Trooper. The Trooper was one that's a title.
The Trooper.
Aces High. I think Aces High is an album. Killers. Yeah.
Oh gosh, there was this one song. The way it started out, it was nothing but the bottom string on the guitar, hitting these high notes toward the bottom of the frets on the guitar, on the neck of the guitar. And I really can't think of the name of it. It was cool once it got going. To me, when I first started listening to the rock music like that, when I got to that age, Metallica and Megadeth and stuff like that, and Anthrax, that was too fast for me.
Okay, I got you.
It would be like, I've gone from listening to like, say, rock music was like Bryan Adams and Huey Lewis and.
I like Huey Lewis for sure.
This was considered like rock, and Huey Lewis would also be in the pop section too.
Yeah,
in some of the songs. But then Bryan Adams would be up there rocking some. Richard Marx was considered both pop and rock at some point.
Yeah. I like a lot of that too. Like for sure, like even softer than that, like Air Supply or and then like a lot of the 80s pop. But like my second behind metal would be like goth. Like I always basically thought like if I were to go back to the 80s, like and basically go through high school in the mid 80s, I would have either been just like a burnout like metalhead or a goth, like super goth. Because
I don't think goth was really a thing to the 90s, though, was it?
No, it was pretty big in the 80s too. I mean, it was very much like a counterculture of the 80s, and I mean, a lot of cities did not have a lot of goth kids, but like The Cure, Depeche Mode,
okay, yeah,
like Sisters of Mercy, like all those groups were.
See, when I hear Depeche Mode and people like that, I think of what they refer to as like the college music. Where I grew up at, there was a station that would play stuff like that, and they would call it the college music of the day.
Well, it's part of that too, for sure. I mean, because like REM is even kind of in that group of like college rock sort of, but like the goth music's a little bit more towards the like electronic sound. Whereas like in general, college rock is like REM, where it's almost like folk, but it's a lot more poppy. Like
there was a rock station we had in Nashville, 103.3 KDF, that changed to country music. Mm-hmm. And Nashville, that's not too hard to believe because country music capital of the world, right?
Right.
But that was our one and only real rock station. And matter of fact, I think when it changed over, it was called Pure Rock. The very last song they played before it changed over to country music format was "It's the End of the World as We Know It."
Oh man, yeah. See, I like some of that too. Like, I don't like REM, but I don't know. Just to me, the 80s, it's I guess you could say this about every decade, but it's just a very wide range of music. Saying that out loud sounds completely stupid because you could say that about the 90s, the 70s, 60s. I mean, you can say about any decade, but
you can. But but it didn't feel like you went from one extreme to the other. Like if you were, unless you were a country music fan listener, because country music in the 80s is more steel guitar and twang and stuff like that to it,
which I do like that too. For sure.
And I do too. And today, with my Spotify, I've got like nothing but an old country music list. I got my rock favorites list, and my rock favorites isn't broken down to different rock, like heavy metal or thrash metal or anything like that. But if in the 80s when you had like the 80s pop music, there was what we said, Debbie Gibson, Tiffany, Paula Abdul. For the girls, usually they had the boy bands. They liked their New Kids on the Block. They liked their
Well, there's like Soft
Back
Cell and
yeah, you know, then you had like Soft Cell for Tainted Love, and you had some Huey
Human
Lewis,
League.
some Richard Marx, Human League.
what's the Cutting Crew?
You had the Cutting Crew, the Eurythmics.
Yeah.
And then you had, there was also a big deal with people, like we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, which was soundtrack music.
Yeah.
A lot of people were buying the soundtrack and saying, "Hey, have you bought the Top Gun soundtrack? It's like awesome."
Yeah.
This, or that's what had the Berlin song on it that everybody was crazy about, taking my breath away. And then you've got the
Kenny Loggins,
the Breaking soundtrack. You've got the Footloose, the soundtrack from Footloose, which was probably had to be one of the biggest ever soundtracks.
Oh yeah, and Dirty Dancing had a massive soundtrack too.
It did, and it's like in the 80s, if you would Flashdance, but Flashdance definitely. I want to think about because there was more than just a couple of songs. You had Hall & Oates on there, which was another rock example from the 80s. I think Maneater was on there.
Yeah.
And then you've got, I can't remember the guy's name that did. No, I think it was Irene Cara did What a Feeling.
Yeah, did What a Feeling is Irene Cara. Yeah.
And there was a couple of more. Michael Sambino, I think, did one song on there.
Yes. He did Maniac.
Maniac, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of iconic songs for these things. And if you wanted a song for your soundtrack in the 80s, you called Kenny Loggins. Even on soundtracks where he's not the star song, and even when he is, go to Footloose. He did Footloose. Okay, take Footloose away, and think about the album for Footloose for a second. He's also got the one where they're going down to make the prom setup in the old feed.
Right.
Heaven helps the man who finds his way, or something like that. I forget the actual name of the song. That was some of the lyric to it. But so many iconic, great albums. I mean, it makes you just want to go buy them right now. Purple Rain. I mean,
Purple Rain's a massive one. I mean, that's rarely is a soundtrack more important than the movie, but that's one for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, so much I enjoy with it, and people ask me, and I get asked to say, "Why do you live in the past?" I said, because it's the best time to live. It was the best time for everything. I mean, I'm not taking away from what you like today. Kids born today love today because of all the stuff they got. When I tell my daughter, who is 21, how when I was a kid, there was nothing like, we didn't have cell phones. We could get walkie-talkies with the names. You and your best friend next door can give each other your other walkie-talkie of the pair, and you can keep up with each other, right? We had those. We had the little Walkmans for the cassettes. They graduated eventually in the 90s to the Walkmans with CDs in them.
Yeah.
When CDs came out, that was a huge deal for us when it came to music, it seemed like. And we thought it'll never get any better than this, although I still loved my cassettes and my albums. But then you turn around, now you got MP3s, right? It's like for music, it kept getting better for the people, not so good for the artist.
Yeah.
But people were like, and this is jumping off topic a little bit because I mentioned the artists and their music, how they're getting cheated and stuff. Tell me how many times when you were a kid you dubbed a cassette from some of your friends. I mean, if you didn't have it, you didn't.
No.
Oh well, I'm sorry. Age difference.
I was gonna say when I was a kid, I just would tell my cousin, like, "Hey, here's some songs I like," and he would put them on a CD somehow.
See, here's where I did my lack of memories kicking in. I forgot you were born in '93 for crying.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't doing a lot of the 80s.
When I was a kid in the 80s, you go buy yourself a set of Maxell tapes or Sony tapes or something, and you would dub off the entire tape. And when you got the home stereo system that had the high-speed dubbing on it, it was like heaven for you because you could dub a thing in like 10 minutes. It was great. But not only would you do that, you would sit by the radio and wait for your song to come on that you wanted to record on the top 40 countdown. Just you make a mixtape of songs that you liked. So, I mean, VHS tapes, you would record your the movies.
Right.
You'd rent a movie and record it. I mean, and people would talk about why would you burn all those discs off? Like I used to have like tons of discs where I burned off movies on DVD. You know, like I don't know why'd I have all those on VHS. I couldn't tell you. I had 3 and 4 on each tape.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the kids have it so much easier for things today. They just,
sure.
I don't think none of them. I don't. As much as some people say they would love to live in that time frame, I'd say 80% say they would love it, wouldn't be able to handle it.
Definitely.
They don't. They would miss their stuff. They'd miss their computers. They'd miss their tablets. They'd miss their MP3s, their streaming services. They'd miss the clarity in their televisions they have. And if you can hear a dog in the background, I'm not sure. I'm sorry. My dog is going nuts because somebody's pulling up in the yard out there, and you're not going to shut the Chihuahua up.
Yeah.
Muzzle it. I'm gonna go muzzle her in just a minute though. She doesn't stop. Oh my god. Anyway, anything else off the top of your head that you could think of? You want to bring up 80s, 90s? You know.
Well, definitely, like just on the soundtrack thing, favorite 80s soundtrack to me is a toss up between Rocky IV and Lost Boys.
Rocky IV had some great songs.
Rocky IV is the greatest soundtrack of all time.
Lost Boys, I can't think of a lot of songs. You know, all right, answer me a quick question about Lost Boys.
Okay.
Is Lost Boys a horror movie? Because I don't think I've ever watched it all the way through. You know, people are gonna be like, "What sacrilege? You're an 80s, 90s guy." But I never saw Princess Bride till last year either. So
yeah.
But anyway, is it more of a horror movie or more of a funny movie?
Have you ever seen American Werewolf in London?
Yes.
Same thing.
Okay.
So whichever one you consider that's what Lost Boys is.
Okay.
To me, it's horror. To me, it's horror that has funny moments.
Yes. Like House, the first House movie also.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Poltergeist even.
Yeah.
Yeah, Poltergeist has some funny parts too. So like, yeah, it's a horror movie that just happens to have a little comedy in it. Whereas like Ghostbusters is the opposite. It's comedy that is like has a supernatural element. But Ghostbusters is in no way a horror movie.
No, not at all.
But yeah, Lost Boys, American Werewolf in London, those two for sure. Like that's to me is horror. It doesn't. I mean, horror movies are my favorite movies in general. But like I don't necessarily believe that horror movies have to be just super dark and depressing. Like you can have like some like levity in the movie as long as the theme of it is horror, which Lost Boys is for sure that, just like American Werewolf in London.
Now help me out with Rocky IV for a minute. I know we got Burning Heart by Survivor.
Yeah.
We got James Brown, Living in America.
No Easy Way Out, Robert Tucker.
No Easy Way Out, exactly.
And then wait, you said Burning Heart. Hearts on Fire?
Hearts on Fire.
Yeah, yes. That's the other one I was thinking of.
It's the training montage they had, I believe.
Yeah. That's the main ones. I mean, I think that's really about it as far as the.
When I think of greatest ones, I'm thinking from beginning to end. I'll listen to all the songs, or I might just skip one song or something.
Yeah.
Just skip one. Rocky IV's got some great songs on it, but I don't know if for me if it would be my absolute favorite. I would have to throw Footloose up there. I'd have to throw Breakin' up there, the first Breakin' movie.
Yeah.
Just because of the fact of the different artists and songs they had on there. At the time when Breakin' came out, I didn't know half the artists that were on there.
Yeah.
I didn't know who Ollie and Jerry was, or the Barkays, or anybody like that. But the songs I thought were great for 80s music.
Yeah.
And I really got into it. Shaka Khan and Rufus, or maybe it was just Shaka Khan at the time.
I think just Shaka Khan during this.
She has 2 songs on there. There's another one that I thought was her that's not her. That was good. Then you got a little Ice-T thing at the end of it. Where he's in the movie, but he's doing a rap for you. And I thought David included that, which was cool. So probably it's a toss-up between those two for me. And then, but if you're talking greatest soundtrack song of all time, I can't even begin to narrow that down.
For the 80s, I think I go probably No Easy Way Out.
It's a good one. The one from Karate Kid, You're the Best.
Oh man, yeah,
Was
that's
a good one.
Too, yeah.
All right. Don't forget Rocky 3.
Eye of the Tiger.
Eye of the Tiger.
I hate that song.
Do you really? Oh,
I hate it. It's just one of those songs that you've heard so many times that you're like, God, if I hear this again, I'm just gonna drive my head through a wall.
Well, then you got like Footloose. You got
Footloose is a great one.
You got Kenny Loggins from the movie where he was the arm wrestler.
Tap Out? No. Tap Isn't it? No. Wait, you're talking about the Sylvester Stallone one?
Sylvester Stallone movie where he's arm
over the top.
Over the top. So you got Meet Me Halfway.
Yeah.
You got Danger Zone from Top Gun.
Playing with the Boys from Top Gun.
You got Goonies. Cyndi Lauper Goonies are good enough.
Yeah. And I'm all right from Caddyshack.
I'm all right from Caddyshack. Yeah. Exactly.
Don't you forget about me from Simple Minds, Breakfast Club.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
Purple Rain.
Yeah. Even like Weird Science, like, oh
god damn it. Uh-oh. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. For a second there, it looked like we lost connection for a second.
We did, your screen froze for a second. I don't know.
Which is odd because the other monitor was still going fine and everything. I was like, this is not a time to have a power outage. Hey, if anything, it's on me this time.
Yeah, I know. For once,
we can say that it's on me this time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's hard to narrow down any further than that. But
yeah,
I guess as much as I could keep talking about this stuff, man, we're an hour and 6 minutes into. We better go ahead and cut loose on it. Speaking of cut loose, foot loose. Kick off your Sunday shoes, okay?
Oh, Jesus.
And thank you for being on again with us this week.
No problem. No problem at all.
There. It's always it's just your second time here, but both times have been a blast. And I know we talked earlier before we got on the show about maybe coming on, another time. And you're always welcome on the show, no doubt.
Sure, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, no, this is a blast. I love this.
I mean, I can think of 1,000 different movies or breaking down a TV show we can do again later down. Maybe we'll come on later down the line. We'll do the Cosby Show. We talk about liking the Cosby Show so much. Why not?
Yeah.
You can do a Heathcliff impersonation for us.
Oh, I'll call Bill up and see if he's got some free time.
Tell him don't bring no drinks, though.
Yes, yeah.
You leave the drinks at home, Bill.
Oh my!
Unless you're bringing a Coke and some Jello pudding. We'll talk about it.
I wouldn't trust any of it.
No.
Jesus, poor guy.
Couldn't do that. But anyway, still, we're awful people.
Oh yeah,
we're awful people.
Oh well.
But we'll do this again soon, Cody, for sure.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for coming on. And like last time, do me a favor, put your stuff out there for the people to know where you're at and everything, where they can check out. You've got stand-up comedy you do and everything. You got your own podcast. So let's get to that before we get off here.
Sure. So, the show is the Cody Tucker Show. It's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all that. Videos on YouTube. Comes out every Tuesday. You can follow me on Instagram at the Cody Tucker, and I should have some stand-up dates coming out pretty soon. So if you just follow me on Instagram, all that stuff goes up there. So that's probably the best way to go about it.
And definitely check out his Instagram if you want to see his humor. I swear the man has cracked me up on numerous videos he's got up there with his stand-up. I'm not even going to, just go look at it. That's all I'm going to say. Because I can't do it justice by trying to copy any of it. It's not my style of humor. You will love it, though. You will laugh, and you'll be ashamed of yourself for laughing afterwards. That's all I'm going to say.
That's the plan. Yeah.
And of course, as usual, if you want to find us, we are on Spotify, we are on iTunes, we are on iHeartRadio, Google, Amazon Music, Stitcher, practically anywhere you get your download, you're going to get this show. We do have some occasional stuff that goes on YouTube, and eventually there'll be some more stuff that goes on YouTube. So check us out there and bookmark it and hit the notification bell in case something new comes up. You'll be the first to see it. Best way to get a hold of me, however, is on Instagram or at the retrolife4you@gmail.com email address. Two best ways. The Instagram flows over to Facebook, so I don't really get on Facebook too much and do a lot, but I will check things on there occasionally as well. That being said, we are going to make our way on out of here. Cody, one more time, man, thanks a lot. We really appreciate it, and we hope everybody enjoyed the show this week. We'll see everybody next week.
All right, man.